This is my longtime friend, Chris Bartik. We worked together for years, and look what he brought over. Go ahead, Chris, tell us what you got there.
This is hop hornbeam. I brought 3 logs home from my property upstate. We've have no experience with this kind of wood at all, making bows, so we're experimenting today. We're going to try to cut this one, put a kerf down the middle of it with the circular saw, and then try to split it, see if we can get a decent stave out of it. It's got a lot of knots, so this is kind of like our trial bow, trial log. So we'll see how we make out.
Okay. Cutting off a high spot so we can go nice and flat with the circular saw. That piece of wood isn't going to be used, so cut off the high spot and run a circular saw right down. It's really going. That circular saw cut really made a big difference.
All right, so here's the end product of our morning so far. We got quite a few nice pieces out of those logs, but what we first started doing is trying to split it with the wedges. And when we got to the heartwood, this dark colored wood in the middle, it was starting to separate. You can see in this piece right here, separate from the rest of the wood. So what we ended up doing is we cut a kerf on the top and the bottom with a circular saw, which cut like 3/4 of the way through. And then we just slowly split it with the wedges and then cut all the fibers with the chainsaw. Get the chainsaw in there, cut those fibers loose, and they came out very, very nice. This was our first attempt. You can see, I don't know if you can see that well, but it's kind of ratty the way it's split. But the rest of them after that came out very nice and clean. So we're hoping.
Yeah, we got 8 nice staves, right?
Yeah, 8. Yeah. We're going to seal the ends right now with some Type Bond 3 to keep them from checking. And see what kind of bows they make.
Yeah, and I've been working on, what I'm going to do is work on taking the bark off a little at a time. And what I found is the little chisel, the little flat chisel, you know, you start it and then peel it. It's going to be a long process, but it's good. I got plenty of time, right?
Yeah, I think that's going to be more time consuming than splitting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll see.
All right. And next we're going to see him making a bow, making his bow out of it probably. This is Hornbeam from Chris Bartik's property. And I did a lot of reading, you know, on it, and watched some videos, and you hear guys in some of these talk chats say to peel the bark, you have to be real careful, use a little chisel, peel it off a little at a time. It don't really come off like hickory does. Hickory comes off in big sheets. But this here is, you know, you'd have to be peeling for hours. So I read one of the guys said, oh, don't use a draw knife because you'll go into the that sapwood backing layer. And I said, what do I got to lose? I'm going to try it. This one here has some knots, and if I'm to make a bow, it would be on either side probably. And I said, with the blade down on a draw knife, and I'm gentle, look, okay? So I wonder sometimes when you're on these sites and you're reading, you know, once a guy is told something, it sticks in their head. And then they repeat it like a parrot. And never having to try it themselves, they think that, oh, that's it. Somebody said you can't use a draw knife, and you can't use a draw knife. And you look at some of the beautiful bows that are made, and one in particular stands out as gorgeous from Dan Santana. He leaves some of that sapwood or bark in between the grain, and in like a camel pattern, and it was a beautiful bow, a striking bow. I think it was oak. So I said, I have nothing to lose, and if I really want to get this off, like in between, then I could play around when the time comes to make a bow with these 3, 6, 7, 8 staves that Chris and I split today. We got 8 of them. Then you could, you know, once you lay your bow out and trim it out, you know, then you can fine tune that piece that you cut out without going crazy worrying about the whole quarter, you know, or whatever it turns out to be, you know, half, quarter of the log. But look, Okay, don't be afraid to try. Blade down. Be gentle. Don't be digging in like you want to rip it out. And whatever stays, you see, like some will stay because there's a depression. Don't go down. Just leave it. And you can use the cabinet scraper later, you know, to do what you got to do. Okay, but look, very happy. Okay, so that's all. Benches in Hornbeam. This is the last of 8 staves. This is the last of 8 staves that I'm debarking. You know, I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I've been working since I'm 12. I started with a paper route. And, you know, as you go through life, you have some jobs that are certainly not rewarding. Don't get any thankless for. They're thankless jobs. And, but you do them to bring home a paycheck for your family. And so whenever I do something like this, you know, and I make something, it kind of, it's rewarding. It makes you feel good about yourself, you know. And, you know, every day that I wake up is a good day. Working on things like this is good for your mind, for your body, and for your soul. I truly believe that. Keep yourself busy and do things and create things, and it's good mental health too. So I have a lot of friends that have passed away. They're not around anymore. I miss them, and they're younger than me too. So the friends I do have, I cherish. I don't tell them all the time, but I love all of my friends, even the ones we argue with now and then. Crazy, out of control ones. Kind of especially like them because I'm a little nuts myself too. But you know, make sure you have children. Make sure you tell them you love them. Make sure that they're not ashamed to tell you they love you. If you're a good mom or dad, good for you. Do things outdoors with your kids. Get them into even hiking around. Archery is a great sport to get your kids in. Kids that go outside are less likely to get hooked on drugs. Kids who get involved with their parents doing things are less likely to get hooked on drugs. Okay? Like I said, it's good for the mind, body, soul. Okay? And this is the last one. This is it. This is the Hornbeam that a good friend that I worked with. I worked with him, I don't know, 20 years. We know each other maybe longer. Okay, this is it. Done. You know, and I worked with Chris for a long time. And even though we don't see each other all the time, we'll always be friends for life. Jack Monty. I haven't seen him, you know, in many, many years. Our kids went to Boy Scouts together. And then we reconnected with traditional archery, you know, and it's a lot of fun, you know. And you diver, and there's so many people that I can't mention them all. But just to let each and every one of my friends know that I appreciate them, I love them. They mean more to me than some of my family that I haven't spoke to because they weren't the greatest people in the world. So that's all I want to say. Get into archery, start making bows, make arrows, get out to nature, get youth involved. I'm going to be helping out again, I heard, with the 4-H program over at the Peconic River Sportsman's Club again, helping them teach the kids with their coaches. And Hugh Diver's the chairman. He's a level 3 USA archery coach. He's going to run it with the 4-H people. You got to do things like that. Pass on the things you love, and be grateful every morning that you wake up. And never be ashamed to tell anybody that you're friends with that you love them, because life is short. All right, so enough of that. I'm done. I'm done. And yes, I feel old. I feel like it's nap time. But we'll see. I'll clean up, see if there's anything else for me to do. But that's it. I'm gonna just use this as part of the video. And then when Chris makes his bow, we'll do a video of him making his bow with this. All right? So watch my other videos on Bartik Joe. All right? Pass it on. Pass on your traditions and your knowledge, all right? It's good for your mind, body, and soul. Yeah, there's a big knot on the end of this short stave. It's too short for any of my friends to use. It's going to be cut off here behind the knot at 65 inches. And I'm going to draw out a bow and see what it looks like. Well, this was interesting. Made a little youth bow. Was working on making a little youth bow. And as I'm sanding, look what happened. The wood fibers just came apart while I was sanding. Look at that. So I don't know if there was an internal crack to begin with or whatever, but you know. But that happened. Okay. Maybe I'll trim it up. I don't know. Okay, I have to see what the moisture content is, because this wood is really wet. So here we go with the moisture meter. $38% moisture. I never got a reading like that ever before. Okay, this one has 15. Try this one and then we'll be done. That one's got 12, but this one here, 44%. That was so weird how when I was sanding, the wood just splintered off. I guess maybe because it's so sopping wet. But anyway, I recovered. I trimmed it up, made it thinner, lighter. You know, it'll be a real low pound bow, and it'll be the first bow. And we'll heat treat it, and I'll waste some coals and fire harden it, and just see how it shoots. It's an experimental bow, because the stave was too short for any of my friends with the long draws to use, and I could get away with it. So let's see what I come up with. All right, looks pretty good though, considering what I had, you know. So this will be continued.